Hello guys, welcome back again, and this time around we're going to be talking about the Super Nintendo and another game that has never been released before. Now a lot of people, we've seen a lot of releases of games or ROMs dumped of games that actually never been released before on a bunch of retro systems this year, and at times you wonder what's left to be dumped out there or found or made. And in this case it is Shadowhawk for the Super Nintendo, a game that was made in a prototype that there was only a couple magazine shots ever taken of this game, but was never released or dumped on the web as a ROM in any form, so there's no way to actually currently play this game. Well, for those who don't know the history of Shadowhawk as a character, Shadowhawk originally came from Image Comics and was one of the original characters that came out when that company was originally formed. Now Image Comics was formed by a bunch of hot artists that worked at Marvel Comics at the time. They were, for me, my mainstay for the most part of my comic books in the late 80s, early 90s that I read in Marvel and was very excited. And so when they went to form Image to make their own stuff, I was incredibly excited. You know, Eric Larson, Todd McFarlane, the whole group were they were the mainstay of my comic book reading back then. And they had a problem over rights, who owned the characters they made, and royalty, money and all that stuff, creative control, basically. So they went and formed Image. And at the time, this was a very big deal because these guys were all hot in the industry, and such a massive talent going to a new company had never really been done at this point. Well, we all know Image now. It's not a major player in the industry, though they're still around like they used to be. But Shadowhawk was one of their original characters that came out. So, and characters people read comics, they probably don't even know who Shadowhawk is, right, for the most part. But he was a big deal in the early 90s. So Rose Color Gaming had actually got a hand of a prototype of Shadowhawk, and they will be making a physical copy of the game. Now, according to their Twitter account, on January 15th, they said that they're hoping to have the game out. They're in full production, hoping to have it out on the 30th of this month. They're trying to keep around the sub $150 mark. And after they sell out their initial 100, this will be their biggest run of any game with a total of 100 copies being made. And once the 100 copies are sold out, they will put the ROM out on the internet. So for those of you who are interested in owning a physical copy, you can get the physical copy. Again, there's not a set price yet, but they're trying to keep it under 150. For some people, that means a lot, but when you're talking about that small run, they did say they'll make more if there's more demand. So it's not like if the initial 100's over with, they're going to be done. If there's more demand for it, they'll make more copies of the game. But right now, after the initial 100 sell, then they're going to put it on the web. And for those who don't want to buy it but want to try it, it'll eventually be on the web, and you'll eventually get to play it. I think it's always cool when a game that never existed or was never playable in any form can now come into existence. And prototype carts are becoming a big thing these days, obviously. This game, again, from the few magazine screenshots that were ever released of this game anywhere, this game could have been maybe it could have been a 2D fight 'em up, maybe it could have been a platformer, maybe it could have been a mix of each. It just, again, no one played it, no one knows. That's what it looks like. Again, it's the characters from this franchise and comic books. So if you're a fan of it, you may know Rose Color Gaming more for their console. Their custom consoles and stuff, handhelds they've released recently. So, but again, it is interesting that they're now bringing this game out, and for fans of this system, and if you're a person who's like, you know what, I want new games for the system, I have all the games I want for the system, this is definitely maybe your opportunity to get it, especially if you're a 90s comic fan, because again, they've released a photo of what the actual cartridge looks like, and it's really cool. The cartridge is all black, and the sticker is all black, with kind of like the comic book was, with the actual face of Shadowhawk in silver, and then the name Shadowhawk in yellow. A lot like the comic book, if you ever read the comic book of the 90s. So, what do you think about this game being released that was never released? Do you think it's cool? Would you actually buy it for that price, so if it's under 150, or would you rather just play the ROM and try it out yourself? For me, I'd probably end up trying the ROM, because if it is 150, that's a lot of money. But at the same time, I talk about because I think it's cool that these things come around. If I had the money, where I could spend money on anything, it would definitely be something I'd pick up. But for right now, it's just cool that it's coming out. Love to hear your guys' thoughts about this, like always, and I will make another video soon. Thanks for watching.